now on the Junius Maltby channel. Thank you for joining me. And welcome to the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman and a look at some silver, discussion on some coins, metallics, the markets, what's going on. It's crazy, right? I know that some of you are panicking. I hear it and I can sense it. It's like a disturbance in the force, like a million voices suddenly cried out and then went silent. It's not that bad. You guys really got to calm down. It's crazy. Crazy how quickly the panic ensues. And you knew this was coming. We warned you about it, talked about it. Just the other day when I talked about the dominoes falling, we were taking a look at the markets for the last week. What did we say? What do we always notice happens? What do they do when the markets get crazy and the big guys in suits and the coke heads on Wall Street need to make money quick? When they got to cover their margins, cover their losses, what is it that they do? What are the most liquid things that they have that they sell? What do they do to make up for those losses? Cover the books. What's an industrial metal that's tied to the economy as a whole oftentimes? It's silver. A lot of times what they do, they dump it. And when the economy starts to slow down, which is what they're warning about, they're getting scared. All this talk about the default, all this talk about inflation. You got senators telling Jerome Powell he's a, quote, dangerous man. Isn't that funny? The Fed's dangerous. I wish Pocahontas would point that out. I wish she would actually point out it's not Powell. It's the Fed. They are the ones that are dangerous. The Fed is dangerous. They're turning this entire thing upside down. And this is where, it's like anything else. A lot of people are going to come at you. You'll see it. It's actually funny. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine today messaged me. He's like, guess what I'm doing? I'm like, what? He's like, I am gobbling up silver today, hand over fist. Another friend of mine exchanged a significant amount of cash, fiat. I think it was yesterday he messaged me. And I don't know if he executed the purchase yesterday or he was setting up to buy today. You never know how that's going to go. I think yesterday was the day he was getting the money arranged, and then today was the day he was buying it. We've done a lot of discussions on this channel about history. There's coins all over the span of time on this channel. As a matter of fact, sitting right here in one of my many little books of coin that we could flip through, I've got various coins from Rome, various silver, denarius and such, all from the ancient days. Silver's been around for thousands of years. And what we recently discussed and talked about, and is actually surprising, is the Spanish 8 reals. And I keep coming back to this coin. Honestly, if you're a silver person and you don't have some 8 reals in your stack, it would be incumbent on you. It's very important that you do so. And I'll tell you, it's the history. The fact that this coin probably circulated and served to extinguish debt, served as capital, as a unit of account, unit of exchange, for longer than any single item, any other coin of a denomination size, any other description of any single monetary unit in history, it's probably served the longest. I mean, you're talking over 500 years, which is a surprisingly staggering long time. The dollar's barely ticking along for 50. 50. Yeah, this doesn't count right here. Again, this doesn't count. This was a dollar, of course, at one time, a specific weight and purity of silver. It gets its genealogy, it gets its origins are tied to some of the coins you see here. The Spanish 8 reals, the Wachamstaler, the Valley Silver of Germany, Saxony. Now, we know all that. You guys have talked about that for a long time. History should be pretty solid with you at this point. I don't think I should have to sit here and rattle off dates to remind you how long silver has been money, how long it's been valued, essentially the entire span of human existence. We live in an abnormal time, in a time where an experiment is essentially in a state of decay. It's crumbling. I mean, I think we've really done a lot to explain that recently. Quite a lot. And right now, it's one of those chaotic moments. If you guys were around, if you were stacking in 2007 and 8, you're a channel member here, raise your hand, put your hands up. If you were here buying metals back in that time period, 07, 08, and you remember when like Bear Stearns collapsed. You remember those days? You remember when silver, when they punched it down to $8? Come on. Some of you have to remember when silver got punched down to $8. You have to. I mean, I think back, I mean, this is a neat little testament to the whole thing. This is not the coin. I wish it was. I got rid of it so long ago that I had to acquire another one. And this is a 1987 Silver Eagle. So this is really an exact, I mean, this, who knows when it got minted as far as on the line from the mint compared to the one I had as a kid. The one I had as a little boy had a line right through the 7, right down there. It's somewhere out there floating around in the universe, but this is a 1987 Silver Eagle. I got this last year to replace the one that I had exchanged, sold, traded so long ago, which was the first Silver Eagle I ever acquired. The first silver bullion, actually, was this particular date, this particular coin, one of these. And I got it as payment from my dad when I was working, doing some construction. And now this coin here, obviously, this isn't the same one, but it's been around a while, 1987 till now. Seen several ups and downs in the United States economy. Seen flash crashes, recessions, dot-com bubble bursts, real estate collapses. Heck, there was what was it? The crash in 1987 itself, the year that coin was minted. Pretty surprising. And yet it sit here and it remains. It's worth quite a bit more in its silver value than it was the year it was minted. Back then it was silver was still just languishing. Now as I sit here and look at these coins, and I've got 2 little boxes opened up with various specimens of specie about all different parts of the world, all different dates. As we look at it and we realize that what's going on, the world economy is on a brink. It's in a state of chaos. Nobody can deny that. And what it does is they're a goofball. They don't get it. The smart money was taking exits months ago. Some of the smartest money was leaving the markets a year or 2 ago. Some of the smartest money in the world has been moving towards sound money for quite some time, especially over the last decade. The last 2 years, we've seen an increase in that, especially when it came to physical demand, physical delivery, private vaulting, all of that. Now, as we see the economy shake and tremble, volatility, the fear index rising, you've seen commodity prices skyrocketing. You guys taking a look at natural gas? Anybody? Who here's been looking at it? It's unbelievable. Natural gas has doubled in just a period of months. Nearly 100% rise in the price of natural gas in a measure of months. It's a commodity. Oil, I don't even know what it's at right now. 70, what is it? 79, clicking on 80. Is it right there next to 80, 78, 76 bucks? Silver, holding back, not doing a whole lot, right? If anything, it's retreated significantly. Down $1 today, getting crushed today. But have you lost? Have you sold? No. Premium's still up. How's the supply doing? How's miner stocks doing? Now here's the deal with silver. Sound money. You know what? Let me grab some fiat real quick. I think it'll actually explain this stuff. I'm going to get you guys some fiat so we can take this in that direction as well. Because a lot of people don't understand, why is it that we talk about silver with this affection? Why do we look at silver as money? Well, hold on a second. I should have got these to begin with. There we go. There we are. Okay, then. All right. Good thing I'm in my bunker where all of this stuff is accessible. Drop the little earbuds on the ground. I'm going to put them back into my ear holes. And here we are. Now, I've got a $2 bill here, right? This is the US dollar. Right, here you go. Piece of trash note, not redeemable for silver. You guys know all about this. No different than any other fiat that's ever existed. It's a Federal Reserve note. It's issued by the Fed. It's an instrument of debt. You might as well wipe yourself with it. Okay, here. Now, we've talked about this recently. This is the million bolivar note, right? The million bolivars. They had to come out with this because they've been, with their social programs, they've been inflating the Venezuela bolivar. Now, these are currencies, right? These are paper notes. What makes them valuable? Why do people have faith in them? Why do people have faith in them? It's a good question. I've been asking that question since I was a little kid. Why do people have faith in paper when you can't redeem it for silver? Especially, I mean, it was really simple. The day that I learned that at one point you could exchange silver or bills for silver and gold, once I learned that, I realized there was a problem. I immediately asked the question, why? Curiosity struck me. Why is it that you can no longer exchange these bills for silver? I mean, here's a 5 bolivar right here. 5 bolivars of silver, 1929. You remember the math we did? This is a million bolivars. This is 5. You remember that? 200,000 of these in order to equal one of these notes. And we did the weight, the value calculations. I did a whole video on it. The purchasing power of the bolivar now compared to then, and how silver held up its value. Good discussion there. And of course, the United States, they dealt with this, the founders, the Continentals, the original notes circulated here that really helped raise awareness as to why paper money is so prone to decay, debasement, devaluation, why it's worthless. And again, in this pile of dead currencies we have note after note. Argentina, we've got stuff from all over the Soviet bloc countries, Russia, all over the Ukraine. We've got some Canadian bills here. Again, more Argentina bills. All over Serbia. Let's see here. Yugoslavia. And then, of course, some of my favorites here, the German marks. The German marks, ladies and gentlemen. Millions of marks, extinct currencies from the Weimar, from a collapsed economy. You got some from Greece. The point is, I've got a whole pile of extinct and expired and dead fiat here to remind me where all fiat eventually ends up. It always ends up worthless. Remember what Voltaire said, and I'll remind you, I'll keep telling you guys this stuff. I'm always here to remind you, give you a little pep talk when silver's doing its thing and gold getting crushed by the banks, by the cokeheads of Wall Street, the evildoers, the bankers. All fiat eventually reaches its intrinsic value, which is 0. Always, always. Can't buy anything. They print it to oblivion. That's what they're doing now. That's what the idiot in the White House, remember what he said? What did he say recently? The new spending bill. It won't cost anything. It's not going to cost a thing. The money's just going to come out of nowhere. They're just going to print it off, and that's it. The Fed will finance it, and yada, 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 bada boom. Well, no, commodities don't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. The rules and the laws of economics don't function that way. You see, the more of this they print, the less it's worth. All right? Eventually, it becomes worthless. Absolutely worthless. Now we could take this in a few directions as far as, what's the replacement going to be? What's the solution going to be? Because I do think this, and I'll tell you, I truly believe many of the elites, many of those up there at the top, absolutely know what's happening. They know what's coming. Truly, they do. I truly believe that they know what's coming. I assure you of that. They see it, they know, and they are fully aware what we are about to experience, and they're scrambling as we speak for the exits. They truly are. They are not wasting their time. They know what's coming. And I don't know, now a lot of people ask, well, what is going to happen with, what are we going to use? What are humans going to exchange goods and services? How do you see silver functioning today? Look, at one time, silver, we'll just use them for example, Venezuela. Everyone in Venezuela used the bolivars, right? Where's my single bolivar coin? You in there? Knocking me. Here it is. Here it is. Here's the one bowl. Where's it at? Nope, that's one of my British coins. Just digging around in here. That's silver all up to my elbows. Regardless, can't find my single bolivar. Oh, there it is. Is this it? There we go. Here we are. There's one bolivar. There's 5. So at one time in Venezuela, these were the coins that were running around people's pockets, buying pork, empanadas, whatever else they were buying in Venezuela. 5 bolivar, the single bolivar. Just like in America, we had the silver dollar. This wasn't abnormal. Spain, we just talked about the other day. I mean, just go give that a purview. Watch the video on the 8 reals, the Spanish real, the silver. I mean, I've got boxes here from silver all over the world. At one time, international currency, right? Now, it wasn't always easy. So, they made notes. They would use notes. You know the story. Eventually, they would just print notes, and then they just banned the connection. You couldn't redeem the notes for silver anymore. And it ran off the rails, got out of control real quick. Happened in the United States, happened everywhere else. There was a time where this was the actual money here, a weight in silver. You could take this to a mint even back then and have it turned into coin, specie, just like gold even. Open mints, they would call it. A miner could be mining in California in the 1840s and 50s, 49, 50s, 50, all the way up through there. He could take that gold in and they could have it struck into gold coin and release it, increasing the money supply as money. That's how the world functioned. And I think the elites don't know that. And that's ultimately where humans want to go. We're living in an abnormal time. This is a fluke. This is just 50 years in a window of 6,500 years, 70 centuries approximately. And right now it's just an abnormal experiment that's gone wrong. Now, there's going to be some type of an exchangeability at some point. Obviously you're not going to run around with silver coins. You're not going to buy your groceries maybe with silver coins. You're not going to be doing a whole lot. It's just, you got to admit it with me. We have to all admit this together. And I see the utility of certain things, but silver and gold need to be the anchors. They need to be the actual money, the foundation of the units of account, units of exchange, whatever you want to call it, the ultimate extinguishers of debt. It needs to be silver and gold. It'll keep the governments in check. It'll restore some credibility, reputation to the system. It'll keep those that are prone to gambling, hubris, extreme risk and volatility, all the things that drive the markets to insanity and then collapse. Keep that all in check a little bit. Keep purchasing power up. Maintain people's wealth preservation over time. The pensioners, those on Social Security, fixed income earners. It'll help them dramatically. Now, that's why I do believe there should be some type of a way to link it to whatever currency we do. 1-to-1. None of this fractional reserve BS. It might be digital. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I know that there are companies like AWX, Oris, AWG, AWS, and other companies out there working in that blockchain world, trying to connect silver and gold. I think that they're trying to make a connection there. And that's a very promising future for people being able to utilize these things, have them vaulted, have them exchangeable, being able to transfer specific weights and purities of metals across borders for payments for goods and services, for receipt for labor, you name it. And I understand there are also industrial applications for all of these metals in this era. I mean, the smartphone that this video is being made on and the smartphones that this video is being watched on all have gold and silver in their circuitry. But I don't want to focus on the industrial applications of these metals. I don't care what the industrial, it doesn't have any relevance to me as far as their monetary value because they didn't have industrial application. Thank you, Trevor, for the super chat there. Let me try to read that so everyone can read it. Can I pull it back up? Shoot, I can't read it. Someone copy paste Trevor's super chat and post it back in the comments because when I'm doing it on the phone like this, I can't, if it disappears, it disappears. But thank you, Trevor, for the super chat. I'll go ahead and read it later. Thank you very much. It's hard to see them when they're on the screen here. Now, again, think of it this way. For 6,500 years or so, 6,000 years, whatever, because the last 500, there was no industrial age. I mean, you look at the timeline of silver and gold serving as money, wealth preservation, and history. Industrial applications only represent a sliver at the tail end of their existence, a very small slice. Silver didn't have industrial applications for about 99% of its time on this earth. It was money without any industrial application whatsoever. It's not necessary, it doesn't need it. It doesn't need smart cars, it doesn't need Elon Musk, Willy Wonka. Okay? It doesn't need mirrors, it doesn't need solar panels. It doesn't need any of that. It just needs to have the attributes of money, which we've talked about on this channel for 10 years. Divisibility, recognizability, the ability to be condensed in a dense amount of wealth in one little place, scarce, relatively scarce anyways, a very small or slow controlled increase in its supply, difficult to come by, global demand for it. I mean, just look at the paper I read here once before on Greenspan, 1966, on gold, talks a lot about the attributes of money. You can even look up what are the attributes of money, what makes it so, and Google it. There's a lot of different ways it's been described over time, but silver and gold really fit that bill, and it's just natural. I mean, human existence kind of just recognized it across cultures, across continents, across language barriers. I mean, there's a reason, for example, another good example of this, that this piece of silver here from 1790 circulated around the world in the hulls of ships and spent a significant amount of time being exchanged for goods and services in Asia, throughout Asia. Thus the chop marks that you can see from all the different merchants that received this as payment throughout China and that trading region for spices, teas, porcelains, silks, various other goods and services and things in that region. Little Clarabelle's here to visit. This is the little cow kitty that everyone has always asked to see in the videos. There you go, Clarabelle. Mrs. Maltby is putting you into a video for us all. Just go, little butt. Go away. You go over there. You see, with silver, right now we live in the most manipulated age, the most controlled age, because I believe the paradigm that supports the elite and the dishonest is being threatened dramatically. They're actually scared. If you don't realize how afraid these people are at the top, they're in almost panic mode. And you got to be careful. When the powerful panic, people tend to get hurt. You know, these guys, who knows what they'll do, what false flags they'll set up, what false wars or false intelligence they'll bring out, what they'll drive us towards, what maniacs will do next. You'll never know. But just as I recognized several weeks ago, when I did a video, I said, and I remember this, you guys can go back and watch it. I think it's in the Domino, when we were talking about the Evergrande situation. I know it was about the Evergrande, the bonds in China, which you notice that's kind of disappeared from the news a little bit. It's not really there as much. You're talking about the biggest financial implosion, the largest real estate bond company in China in a state of collapse, $300 billion. We talked about that, and it just kind of went away, but it's huge. It's huge, huge, huge news, ladies and gentlemen. It was not a small amount of wealth, especially when you look at what was probably tied to it and the other people that might have been exposed. There was a lot of others that were exposed to that, I can guarantee it. When I was doing that video and having these conversations with all of you guys, of course, unscripted, extemporaneous ramblings, we began talking about what was going to happen to gold and silver. What could we expect the fallout to be when these dominoes start tipping over? I told you in that video, I said, look, silver and gold are probably going to take a haircut on this one. They're going to get beat for a little while. There's going to be a beating. And the reason for that is the financial institutions are going to dump it. They're going to sell it. Some of it might be because of manipulations, because they want to and discredit it. But a lot of it is it's the most liquid thing they have. They have to. They sell it to make up the losses and all the paper markets and all the other stuff that they've lost. Little kitty over here, you go over there. They've done it every time. Now, there's some new stackers here. I get it. There's some young people here. Welcome. I'm glad you guys started stacking, but you can't let a moment like today or this week. This is, look, been through a lot of these. But over the decades, when you look at the long-term trajectory and the trends and the actual, the big picture, when you zoom out a little bit, zoom out, zoom way out, zoom out, zoom out. You realize this is nothing. It's a blip. It's one of those little opportunities. Might dip to 20. We'll see. Might even go a hair below it. But I can guarantee you one thing. It's going to last longer than this. It's going to be better than this. It's going to hold wealth longer than this. I can guarantee it. Guaranteed. You see, silver doesn't need a legal tender law to force those to use it. It doesn't need to say this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. It doesn't need the force and might and threat of the federal government to either kill you or put you in a cage to make you use it. It can't be printed at whim. It can't be digits on a screen, just keystroked into existence to pay for things. Government programs. It's impossible. And as you look at this pile of fiat trash, all of this, my graveyard of paper, I'll just move the camera like this, actually. This graveyard of paper, when you look at all the dead notes going back throughout history here, the last 100 years or so, you realize that every single attempt to do the very same things they're doing right now has failed. The currencies go to zero. They go extinct. They end up in Junius's graveyard of dead fiat trash. But throughout history, every single coin, all of the metals, they just continue to exist. They continue to hold their wealth. I don't understand it. I don't understand the negative sentiment that some people have that, I think a lot of times what it is they just don't hold any. They don't hold metals, and so thus they feel like they have to hate them for some reason because they don't have any. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know what it is. It's unfortunate because, when they keep that bias, it's only punishing themselves. I mean, they have an opportunity. They can still get silver right now. They can still buy. Because remember what I told you guys. There comes a point in the timeline, in the existence of all fiat. This is irrefutable, mind you. This is irrefutable. This cannot be denied by a single apologist for the dollar or a single apologist or what do I call them, the dollar advocate, an apologist for fiat. None of them can deny this fact. In the timeline of every fiat, there comes a point where there's no longer the ability to exchange it for any amount of precious metals. Remember that and look for it. Pay attention because it's coming. There will come a point in which you are forbidden or it's impossible. Those who hold silver will not part with it. that no amount of fiat will acquire you any amount or any weight of silver. It just won't happen. And every single fiat has been there. It's just the dollar hasn't been there yet. The dollar's not there yet. Its turn is coming. Its turn is coming. You just have to wait for it. It's a matter of time. It's in its death throes. They're panicking. And honestly, this is a sign things are getting pretty shaky. When you see silver and gold, when you see absolute obvious distortions of truth and reality, when you have rampant inflation, when you have natural gas going up 100% in a measure of months, when you see all kinds of problems like this, an economy on the brink, a global economy on the brink, when you see inflation rampant, like I just talked about the other night, in every single country of the world, every major currency of the world, when you see all of these things happening at the same time, employment problems, currency problems, huge supply line disruptions. I mean, you guys have seen that. The ships, the container vessels, stacked up on the coasts. And then you see silver and gold dropping and the dollar maintaining stability of some kind. You realize what's going on. Well, they're selling their metal positions, seeking refuge in the dollar. Oh, the dollar is strong right now. It's because of the panic. It's because it's the leper with the most fingers left. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to last. I'm telling you, the days are numbered. It's like you've got an opportunity to make it to the fire exits. You've got an opportunity to find yourself in a lifeboat, to preserve your wealth at a time in history when the days are literally numbered. The days are dwindling. The weeks are dwindling. You have the opportunity to convert fiat into sound money at reasonable amounts. And here's the deal. Like I told you before, a lot of people don't get it. One of you actually told me just recently, what is it? 1 in 1,000, I think it is. Something like 1 in 1,000 people or less make the connection between inflation, metals prices, and the need and the necessity to convert your fiat trash paper into silver and gold. A lot of people don't understand it. They can't make the connection between this being this $1,000,000 Bolivar note. There's 2 of them in here. 1,000,000 bolivars. They can't make the connection, the difference. They don't know between that and this silver bolivar here, this 5 bolivar coin here. They don't get it. They don't get the difference at all. They can't see it. They can't make the connection, and they never will. And again, like I've warned you before, you cannot help them. This video is not for them. We're speaking Greek to these people, and that's fine. They'll never understand. They'll never know. The history is beyond. They're too busy watching Dancing with the Stars and The Voice, paying attention to the Kardashians, reading their People magazine. They're not going to get it. It's incomprehensible to them. And that's fine. They're not all going to. Not everybody can make that play. It's impossible. And like, Michael Burry said, he's like, I'm not wrong. I'm just early. We're not wrong. I'm just early. We're not wrong. We're just early here. And this play of shorting the dollar, shorting fiat, betting against the global economy, betting against fractional reserve banking and fiat, it's a pretty good thing. Nobody who's ever done that has been wrong. They've never lost their wealth. Stocks can go to zero. Markets can collapse. Lehman Brothers is gone. Bear Stearns is gone. They evaporated wealth. It's gone, like vapor. Gone, like that. This silver's still here. As a matter of fact, how many companies have risen and fallen and gone bankrupt? How many people have been swindled out of their wealth, have lost everything? How many economic crises have occurred? How many nations have risen and fallen and collapsed, gone to dust? just in the time that this coin has been on the planet, from 1761 till now, further beyond, plus ultra. How many? You wonder, right? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Oh, that's just an $8 from Spain. We can go back further. Let's go back further. A day's wages. Let's take a day's wages from Rome. You got a couple of denarius in here. Denarius. So in there. How many? There's a full day's wages at least. Day's work. How many people have lost everything? Quite a few. Again, thousands of years. This bill right here has been unbacked and undisconnected from fiat circulating. It's a very unique time. 1971. This is the 50-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. For only 50 years, this economic model has existed at a time where the record and the resume of this metal that you see sitting here is over 6,000 years. This coin over here alone circulated for over 500 years. This has circulated as money for 50, and they can barely keep it alive. It's dying. It's on its deathbed. 500 years, 50 years. The average life of fiat is 30. What are you going to bet on? What's your play? What's going to survive? What's not? What'll be here in 30, 40 years, 20 years, 10? Guaranteed. What can I guarantee? You want to guarantee what's going to be here in 10 years and still have wealth and value? The wealth of 70 centuries, approximately 65 centuries. Depends on where you put the dates. Or something an idiot in the White House established in 1971 when Nixon closed the gold window. Come on now, place your bet, go. Where are you going to bet, ladies and gentlemen? 50 years or over 500 years here, just in the Spanish reals. Well, if you want to go also, like I talked about before, 6,000. I mean, come on now. Where are you placing the bet? Because that's what it comes down to. You really going to place it in the faith and credit of the United States? Look at the infighting. You've got senators calling Jerome Powell a dangerous man. The Fed's off the rails. Political. It's psychotic at this point. Your choices are quite limited. I mean, really, you're going to have to pick. And you got to pick a team here. Quite limited. Your choices are very, very limited at this point. Again, people are exiting their positions in the markets. They're leaving Wall Street. It's funny though, isn't it? At the same time that's happening, watching what's happening to metals. I'm not going to get into spoofing. I'm not going to get into the selling out the front door, buying in the back door, price manipulations. No, we already know they were convicted of that. We already know they got in trouble for that. The articles, the news, it's all out there. The trials, the court cases, that happened. Big deal, right? Big deal. And yes, like I told you in that video the other night, discussing the Evergrande bonds, discussing the dominoes falling, the economic turbulence that we're going to start facing, you will see metals retreat a little bit in this time. They were going to go down. I talked about it then. I said, look, these guys, the banks, they're going to sell their silver positions and their gold positions. They're going to be some significant dumps because they need to raise capital. They need to cover their losses on margin. They're going to sell metals and they're going to push the prices low. It's going to be just like 07, 08. The headlines abound right now. I mean, it's all over the news. Significant bubble. I don't remember the guy's name. It was just an article this morning talking about how big the bubble is and how everyone's preparing for the next collapse, the next crash. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. And when that does unfold, you're going to see a beating in metals temporarily. Happens every single time. It's historic. Absolutely part of the cycle, part of the signs. And then always, what happened when they did it in 07, 08? Let's just go back to that real quick for me, real quick. Admit it. Look at it. In your head, you should essentially have a good idea of this. What happened? 07, 08? I'm gonna pet this little kitty over here. There she is peeking on us. She's spying. In 07, 08, they beat silver down to $8 or so. What happened shortly after that? Come on now. Anyone in the class want to tell us what happened after 2007 and 2008 after they successfully beat silver down to about $8? I mean, right in the midst of Bear Stearns in complete collapse. Within a couple of years, it was 40 something. You'll see. Not worried about it. Same with gold. Remember this? I remember with gold so long ago. Speaking of gold, remember when it was, you guys remember it was $200 an ounce? $250? $300? I'm sure you guys do. Surely you guys remember buying gold for $250 or $300 an ounce. Some of you. And then you remember what happened after that. Remember when it started rising? You remember when gold broke 1,000 and all the bears said it was going to drop? You remember that? They're like, it's going to drop back down to 500. Never did. Actually, once it broke 1,000, it never went down below it again. That was it. Gold's pretty good at that, proving people wrong. It's done that every time. Continues to. The gold bears have been consistently wrong for decades. They've actually never been right. There's not a single person who's been a gold bear, who's had a bear position on gold, who's been correct. I can prove. You can prove that just reading in what they say. And I'm not talking about temporary reprieves, like the guys are like, it's going to go down this next week. No, I'm talking about overall. Overall, gold broke 1,000, never retreated, never went back to it again. It's done. Kiss that point goodbye. It's gone. And, where's the low now? I don't know. I've heard everything from 1,500 to 1,600, but 17 sitting there. We'll see. It's going to blast past 2 again. We know that much for sure. It's already tested it. It's already hit it. I don't care about bonds. I don't care about interest rates. I don't care about yields. Big term, long-term picture here. The big bet, the big play.